For decades, Dan Rather wasn't just reporting history. He was living it. He stared down wars, exposed presidential lies, and became one of the most trusted voices in America. When chaos erupted, people waited for his words. But then, in a shocking twist no one saw coming, a single story changed everything. One broadcast, one moment, and suddenly, the man who survived bullets, bombs, and power itself was fighting for his reputation. What really happened behind that career-ending controversy? The story of Dan Rather does not begin in a newsroom or behind a television desk. It begins in Houston Heights, where he was born in 1931 into a world shaped by poverty and hard labor. His neighborhood lacked indoor plumbing, and many families struggled to find enough food. His father worked 16-hour days digging oil pipelines for a single dollar, while his mother waited tables and sewed clothes late into the night. Their home was small, and Dan shared a bed with his brother. Across the street, families lived under tin roofs or slept on dirt floors, a daily reminder of how fragile life could be. When the Great Depression deepened in 1933, Houston was hit especially hard. Jobs vanished, relief programs failed many families, and survival depended on grit. Dan's parents taught him that the only escape from hardship was curiosity, discipline, and hard work. Night after night, his father talked about world events while smoking at the kitchen table. Those conversations planted the seed that would define Dan's future. By the age of 12, Dan Rather was already chasing stories. He listened obsessively to police scanners, gathering fragments of emergencies and crimes unfolding across the city. Sometimes he skipped school just to stay near the radio. He sold tips to local reporters for spare change, learning early that information had value. By 1946, he landed his first real scoop after hearing a burglary unfold live on the scanner. It was a small moment, but it confirmed something powerful. Journalism was his calling. At John H. Reagan High School, Dan played football with hopes of earning a scholarship. But long nights spent reading newspapers and following breaking stories caused his grades to slip. When it became clear football would not carry him forward, he made a decisive shift. He poured himself into the school newspaper, covered local events, and studied the work of journalists like Edward R. Murrow, who became his hero. By the time he graduated in 1950, he already had a job waiting for him with the Associated Press. While studying journalism at Sam Houston State Teachers College, Dan lived the life of a working reporter. He held night shifts at KSM Radio, called football games, announced scores, and chased crime scenes. He learned how to speak clearly under pressure and how to keep going when things went wrong. When he graduated in 1953, he had more real-world experience than most reporters twice his age. In 1959, tragedy struck the music world when a plane crash in Iowa killed Buddy Holly. Richie Valens and the Big Bopper Rather didn't wait for instructions. He hitchhiked nearly 1,000 miles to the crash site, arriving before many national reporters. Standing among the wreckage, he interviewed witnesses and sent raw, emotional reports back home. Listeners could hear the wind, the debris, and the shock in his voice. That urgency set him apart. 2 years later, Hurricane Carla slammed into Texas. While others stayed safe, Dan Rather reported from a flooding basement studio at KHU-TV. He introduced live radar images overlaid with maps, something television had never seen before. His broadcasts convinced more than 350,000 people to evacuate, saving thousands of lives. In that moment, he proved that journalism could be a matter of life and death. Everything changed on November 22, 1963. In Dallas, when President John F. Kennedy was shot, Rather rushed to Parkland Hospital. At 1 p.m., doctors pronounced the president dead. Rather pushed into the morgue and confirmed the body himself. He became the first reporter to deliver definitive confirmation to the nation. Within hours, he identified Lee Harvey Oswald as the suspect, moving between the Texas Theater and police headquarters as chaos unfolded. 2 days later, when Jack Ruby shot Oswald live on television, Rather was among the reporters chasing the gunman. He was punched, bloodied, and knocked aside, yet he continued reporting. The image of him covered in blood became a symbol of how far he would go to tell the story. Vietnam tested him like nothing before. Dan Rather delivered the first color television footage from the war. He stood in jungles as napalm exploded nearby and reported from KSANH. Under relentless mortar fire, Marines shielded him with their bodies during live broadcasts. His voice carried fear, exhaustion, and raw honesty that Americans had never heard before. In 1966, a helicopter carrying Rather was shot down over the Mekong Delta. He crashed into the water and swam through areas known for sharks while his notes sank beneath him. He later described the terror of feeling hunted in the water. Despite the trauma, he returned to the field. His reporting exposed the My Lai massacre, where hundreds of Vietnamese civilians were killed by American soldiers. He revealed the truth about Agent Orange, forcing the Pentagon to confront the long-term suffering of veterans. Inside military circles, officials mocked him as Rather the Rat. He ignored the insult and kept going. During Watergate, Dan Rather became a relentless force. In a tense press conference, Richard Nixon snapped at him, asking if he was running for office. Rather calmly fired back, earning Nixon's fury. He was banned from dozens of official events, so he hid microphones in the Rose Garden, capturing conversations that revealed panic inside the White House. On August 5, 1974, he broke the story of the smoking gun tape. 4 days later, Nixon resigned. Rather had helped bring down a president. In 1981, he took over the CBS Evening News from Walter Cronkite. He didn't imitate Cronkite. He created his own style. Nearly 17 million viewers tuned in nightly. His signature sign-off, courage, lingered long after broadcasts ended. He guided the nation through the Challenger disaster, the Gulf War, and 9/11s. After the attacks, he stayed at Ground Zero for weeks, broadcasting more than 180 hours while covered in ash and dust. His exhaustion and grief were visible, and viewers felt it. Then came 2004. On September 8, 2004, Dan Rather aired a report on 60 Minutes questioning George W. Bush's service in the Texas Air National Guard. The documents were immediately challenged. Typographic details suggested modern software. Rather defended the report, then apologized publicly. The fallout was devastating. Producers were fired. Executives resigned. Assignments vanished. Access disappeared. By 2006, after 44 years, CBS News chose not to renew his contract. Rather said he was punished for telling the truth. CBS said it was about judgment. The legend was gone. He sued CBS for $70 million, claiming he was made a scapegoat. He lost the case, but the lawsuit exposed deep tensions between journalism and corporate power. After leaving CBS, Dan Rather rebuilt his career. At HDNET, he produced more than 100 documentaries through Dan Rather Reports. He embraced digital media, wrote books, and reached new generations through newsletters and interviews. In 2024, Dan Rather returned to CBS Sunday Morning after 18 long years, a silent, powerful moment of closure. He didn't fall because he abandoned truth, but because truth became inconvenient. His story stands as a lasting reminder: real journalism demands courage, integrity, and sacrifice. Thanks for watching, and remember, truth always matters, even when it costs everything.